Hello and welcome, as it is Friday, the 16th day of February 2018. My name is Derek and welcome. I'm on my TradingView platform and I'm going to go through a whole bunch of different charts. I'm going to show you how many I have, so I'm going to move the screen a little bit here. And on the right, this represents the codes, and they're all in chronological order. So I'm going to start with first, and when you look at the list, there is quite a few of them. Practically all of them, with the exception of the Canadian dollar, the Dow Jones, the dollar index, and gold and silver, are all that of cryptocurrencies. So let's scale this back in so that you can mainly just see from the chart perspective. Not much to see on this particular chart. 1ST. It's in a downtrend. It has now it's back to this area here. A lot of charts show these similar patterns. I don't want to go over this for too long. Generally speaking, if you're looking to buy this now, I mean, it's not bad, I guess. However, if you try to time the market for the next leg lower, I'd be looking for Fibonacci downside from the February 8th lows and the highs of the 18 average there that after. So probably another leg lower down to like 43. ABY, you got the exact same similar pattern in here. Just use the Fibonacci from here to here for a potential spot where the next leg lower may come into play. ADA, you're at a retest of this previous level. If you bought here, sold up here, nothing wrong with buying back again at this stage. If you're trying to time the market, I would calculate the high. So the mathematics towards this would be 5450 divided by 3700 to the root of negative 0.618. Multiply 3700. You'd be looking at somewhere around 3000, which happens to be where it came from. So same thing here as far as ADX on the Fibonacci, which is the next code. AGRS is next. This is a situation in which it has had a breakout of a major level of resistance that got passed at the end of January. Did not have a decent sized leg higher, but what it has done, it has stayed and held above this level of resistance, which really even can tail down to about the 23.3 handle. As far as it's concerned, short term, it's holding not as well within the current 18 average and breaking down below. Again, down to this level would not be a surprise. ANT, which is Aragon. When I see a pattern like this, one of the things I look at, okay, we got this low, we got this high. What is the key Fibonacci levels? And I'll bring up my calculator and determine it. So we got a high of 71,170. It doesn't matter when I write this if I put the lowest in or highest number first. Computer automatically could figure that part out. And then 94.22 on the lower end. And again, this is just a simple calculator. So high divided by the root to the exponent of these numbers. Well, the key numbers, the 76.4 is in at 44, which is pretty much the current level. So breaking down below that, we're looking at about 32,873. So I'd be looking for a move to about roughly around here, which is the previous low. ARDR, ARDR situation here. Again, you come down this low, you have this quick move. It's been grinding its way lower. That's not what bull markets do. You'd be looking at Fibonacci downside. You'd also be looking at key lows as well from where it came from, around the 3200 handle. Aurora coin, which is in a situation where you had this major resistance level, this one as well. It also, well, as far as what this level of resistance is concerned, it has now been about a week or so where it has held and stayed above it for this period of time. I don't think I'd want to do anything with this myself at this point. Bitcoin Cash is continuing in a sideways moving market. You got big support in and around the 125 handle, and you got this resistance here right now at about 160. I can't tell what the next break is going to come, but I think if it breaks resistance, expect a decent sized green candle up to about the 20 handle. And if it breaks this support, expect a decent sized red candle, probably down to at least the around the 95 or 0.095 handle. Bitbean is next on the list, and this is a situation on the daily time frame where after and all these charts are daily, a move down to this level here, which is that's one of the areas where it came from, but since it's gotten past this 18 average level, well, it's already broken, it's got past stage 4. There's establishing of resistance, coming back to the band, and then it just broke it on yesterday's session. And now it's back to where it came from. So that's basically a buy spot I would look at within that spot. You either, to me, when you see this, you want to buy it as it barely breaks resistance, or if it quickly comes back thereafter. Also, one thing you might want to do is just shorten out time frames and see if you can get good momentum on something like the hourly time frame, which is maybe if it breaks clear above a resistance level like 139, try to get in around 142, 141. That's on strength, of course. That's another possibility. So whatever fixtures your boat, or whichever strategy works for you. I, of course, like buying low, selling high based on the 18 average. So something like BLK, there's really nothing to do here. If it goes up, I'll put a sell order. If it breaks down below this low, I'll put a buy order in. Bancor, BNT, beautiful run up at the start of the year that has had a very good sideways correction, but is now starting to trend lower as this move on the 13th day of February hit the level of resistance and has been starting to move down back to this support level that was there before. So I wouldn't be surprised if it congests and maybe resist up around the 581 handle. Definitely, this thing has a lot of gap fill area. Fibonacci support, if you're looking to buy it, you can calculate in the same manner. Breakout coin, BRK. Here is the situation where after this leg lower, you have found support in that it stopped going lower. It didn't have much of a rally, but now it's starting to trend back lower and breaking down below here. Well, we could probably start to think about a move down lower with this. And this line here, which I've just finally got, the thing about this coin here is if you have a line down here and you got your buy-in, okay, great, you got it a bit above it. But now I didn't like it there quite as much, but I think again because of this movement, definitely a lot of concern that this thing might have another leg lower. Let's continue on within breakout state, which is code BRX. After it's a beautiful rally that it had a retracement with 2 legs lower below the 18. We have now seen a situation where it's established resistance and it has now come back to the 18 average. So getting above the 164 handle would put this, to me, in a very beautiful bullish situation. When you look back at some of these moves that it had, I mean, these are the sell orders that you just want to have ready if you own this fund, because you never know when they're going to hit. And if you do, oftentimes they can come back and you get your buybacks usually within the day. We're on to Bitcoin, which is the next one on the list. It's back over 10,000 against the US dollar. I like how within this code it has managed, since getting above it, has held in there relatively well. 18 average starting to rise. A big area is the 18 average for the whole. Previous resistance levels in at around 8,900, 88, 89. So that would be right now, I'd be looking as the big support. Moving on to Burst, BURST, which is in a situation on this level of support that's practically acting as resistance at this stage. It's down a little bit from this high, and when I say a little bit, 800 down to 357, because it's had some wild moves before. We can see in 2017 it goes from 60 all the way up to 950, falling back down to 60, rising back up to 789. So if extreme volatility is your cup of tea, I think Burst is really good. The Canadian dollar against the US dollar cross, CAD-USD. And within this, I'm looking at this more in a longer term time frame, because on the monthly chart, I'm looking at this as the reversal of trend. I've talked about how this average went sideways, resistance established, it has came back to the band. So basically when the Canadian dollar gets above the 0.839 handle, I would be putting this in a bull market and expecting precious metals to be on a major rise thereafter. Moving on to CANN. Oh, don't you just love these types of moves? It's going to make it almost impossible to look at daily charts on here or anything before this time frame on this exchange, but on the daily it'll be fine. We can still see the extreme moves. 336 up to 4,500, back down to 963. Again, if you like extreme volatility, this is your cup of tea. I like this. I'm in this coin. Cloak coin. I'm in a few of these, or a bunch of them rather. Cloak coin, which has, I got these two lines drawn in here. So this key level of this area here was support, broke down to this level in here. Therefore, it's second time, making it difficult for me to state what the next move is going to be, whether it's going to be a push up to this line or a breakdown below, maybe somewhere near the 60 handle. And if you're at that phase and you don't know, then basically the best thing is just leave it alone and maybe wait for the price to clarify where you want to go. And in my case, because I buy on weakness, I'm looking for a move down to this point to buy. And of course, if you're looking to buy on strength, there's no way you're buying as the price is below the 18 average, barely as it is. Circuits of value, which is Colville. This has got a very interesting chart as since its decline going from about 295 down to 100, you know, your typical 3x successful higher low retracement because it blew up from the 37 level. But since this point, we have had this resistance established to this level. It's been back to this band. Has had a couple days ago a move that brought it back up here, is now consolidating. So these 3 or 4 days where it resisted, it's really big for it to hold in that area of support, even in the area of the closes. But the 18 average rising, that's always the important thing for that thing not to show that the 18 average of lows is giving in, because on that phase, you'd be looking for a serious decline. But breaking out above 200, this thing has potential to have decent size gains. Let's look at Capricorn, which is CPC. Just like some of the other ones, back to where it was, has already had a test within the 18 average. And if it breaks down below this, we'd be looking probably down to test around the 3500s area. Moving on to CRW, which is Crown. And within this chart here, and I like this and I own it, it's got this sideways consolidation and yeah, breaking out above this and staying above it. That's the big thing, because we've seen a lot of resistance at around the 34 handle. So if it can find a way to just stay and hold above it, that's the big thing. So in here you had resistance at the 24, obviously it stayed above that. Then you found resistance in around this area here. And when it broke that on January the 9th, it has held and stayed above the level of resistance that it had to end and start the year off for this. CVC is Civic. And now you're looking again at the Fibonacci downside calculation because you got the downtrend, you got the rally up towards here. I can tell just by looking at this, it is struggling within its 61.8% retracement. And I would have to think there's a decent chance that maybe this thing can come back down towards the, maybe a break below or two or below the 3,000 Satoshi handle. Looking next at Dash against Bitcoin, and it's just really hanging in there, not doing much at all. So let's move this on to DGB, Gigabyte, and this is resisting this area of support, but it hasn't broken down since it's resisted it much anyway, because we come up here on February the 9th and it falls down a little bit, but it falls down to the higher low and it's holding the last sell-off rally at this stage. Back up there again. So it's got a lot of mixed messages right now within this. So a lot of times when I say, ooh, I don't know if it's going to go up or down, I'm actually more bullish than I am bearish on this, just because I like how it's holding this 18 average and it's flattening out very well. Let's go to the Dow Jones Industrial Average has made a move up to the 18 average of highs after its long or decent size, not so long rather, decline. So now you're in a correctionary mode, the battleground, if you will. This is the bulls versus bears battle. Oh, the bears can bring it down to the 18 lows, 24/7 area, and that's fine and dandy. But if this thing can get well above here, you're talking about the failed breakdown, fast move higher. And then you can calculate Fibonacci upside from this high to this low, which would be about 26,600 and change, divided by 23,400 to the root of 1.618. Multiply the low over. Let's look next at District 0x, and it's just mainly going sideways next to dollar index, which I've been stating I expect this to be in a continuous bear market throughout the year 2018. And moving on, we'll finish off with the E. What do we got? 15 minutes, close to 20. Edgeless, it is grinding its way lower at this stage, back down to this previous low in here. I got a support level that I'm looking to hit at 68.25. I do own it. I'm losing on it, but that's part of the game. As it goes down, I'll buy more, accumulate more, because I know markets go down, up, and that's the story. Electronic Golden, it's not doing too much. It's holding in there, staying within this level here. Little bit of a failed shakeout here at the end of January, start of February. So it's been holding and consolidating within the 18 average. And therefore, this is like a battleground situation again. And you can see who'll have the momentum when it breaks to either one side or the other. But it's been about a week in this. Not much going on. EMC is just grinding down. I've had a comment recently, what happens in situations when the 18 average just gets so crunched in and the moves are so small. Well, that means the volume's low, the price volatility is obviously low, so you just watch it and you wait for it to really end. If it's at a spot where you should realize it's buy or sell, you got all the time in the world to do it, which is rarely ever the spot that's the case. EMC, which is Emmercoin, it has got this resistance at the 18 average of highs for several days that has fallen back to the 18 average of lows. So now we're in that battleground test again from this previous low. And it's had enough movement within it that it's strengthened this resistance at 50. Getting above it again would show that the move from December to here did what a lot of coins couldn't do, and that is successfully retrace with very little of a price correction. And that would be most certainly a bullish sign. And if it breaks down below this level of support, you can pretty much tell it's a 61 or 38.2% down correction. I'd be looking at what the 61.8 number is, and I'd be presuming that number would be somewhere around the 20 handle on any retracements to the downside. ENG, which is Enigma, just in one of the newer ones, I got a line in around the 183 handle if it breaks down, but not much is going on within it. Europe coin, ERC, support being found at this major level of resistance. So that's beneficial. Now we're going to see, is this rally breakout on February 7th for real? Because it had its rally, came back down to support, short-term retracement, had a lower high rally, that's fine, and now it's had a decent sized rally back to it. You're back down to about as far as you want to go. Previous resistance, 18 average of lows, so the story is playing out magnificent. Any movements above this 18 average, the bull market's doing what bull markets are supposed to do, and there's definitely good reason why you might want to consider reason it's going to go much higher and maybe test some of this upper area from last September above the around the 15,000 Satoshi area. But on the contrary, because of this move that occurred, if this 18, especially now, starts to give in and price starts to fall down and stay below the 18 lows, if price stays below 8,000 Satoshi, that is a failed breakout in my book, and I'd be definitely looking for a move at least down towards this line. So you got the if, else, or situation. It's basically made a statement, a big up or down move is going to come in, and you're going to really want to take a look at this 18 average band to see which direction it's going to go. We got two more to finish it off. We got the Ethereums. We'll start off with the classic, which thank you, Chris Daniels, for mentioning stuff about this. Major level of resistance, this resistance level, this resistance, and of course, again, the last move just a few days ago broke above it. Another key resistance level is about the 281 handle. We also have price action well above the 18 average of lows. I don't mind missing boats because there's many of them on this crypto space, but I don't want to buy this now. I wouldn't mind seeing this price action hopefully not go up for the next few days, but make a move down to this 18 average of lows, or more importantly, the 289 previous resistance level. What I would like to see happen maybe is some sideways action, small rally, and then maybe make a move down towards that area again. And Ethereum, which I really haven't been holding much at all. I technically have some now, just because I now own EOS, which is not on here because, well, I had to go to a small exchange to get it. So I'm trading it against Bitcoin and Ethereum, so that's the only reason right now why I have Ethereum. Breaking down below here would get me some more. And of course, I am trading Litecoin versus Ether, but I'm waiting for the Litecoin cross. I'll quickly show it now as a final chart. But I'll do the next video. I'm not going to do it for hours, so don't expect it anytime soon. But LTC, ETH, I'm waiting, of course, for this price action to come up here where I would sell Litecoin directly for Ethereum. So that's how I'm looking to plan into getting it there. So thank you for tuning in as I go through my entire list of codes that I've looked through on the trading view in this longer period of time, close to a half hour. I only went from A through E. Again, I'll probably later this afternoon do another one of these, which means sometime in the late afternoon, early evening, it should be uploaded. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.